Okay, so build 2, we're going to Summoner Smash. Same dealio. Let's start with Tempest Flurry. Letting Infusion makes sense. Martial Tempo, Primal Armament, Concentrated Effect, all makes sense. Tempest Bell, Close Combat, Overabundance, Rage Forge, Rising Tempest, all makes sense. Uh, Gotta make sure you're actually getting Rage to make Rage Force worth it. Let's see, do you have any Rage on hit Jewel? Not seeing any Rage on hit Jewel yet. Oh, one Rage on melee hit, so it might work. It's a little bit low on Rage, but uh, it doesn't change the fact that if you can get it, then drop the bell, it's getting all that it needs. It'd be nicer to have a little bit more, but we'll see if we got it elsewhere. Electrocute, Neural Overload, Lightning Exposure. You won't need Lightning Exposure if you have the crit variation, which you have this here. I mean, it's not going to hurt you or anything, it's just you can get a few better things. Uh, for example, a couple of things that might help you. Perpetual charge, just to charge a little bit easier, get it going a little bit longer. You got the electrocute neural overload going, so that's that. Uh, Culling strike even might be a little bit better to get it on there, but like honestly, you won't need culling strike. There's not a lot of bad things you can put on here. Like lightning exposure isn't bad. It's just, I mean, it could be a little better. Link with Ingenuity makes sense. Combat Frenzy with Profusion makes sense. Magnified on Herald Device, yeah. Conduction, Chance of Shock with lightning damage and evade. Long Shot. This is looking really, really good. I'd like to see this get 6 Link for Shock Siphon just for a little bit of survivability, but if you're living, then that's good. Glaciation, Ice Bite, Cold Infusion, and Ambush. This makes a lot of perfect sense. This will get things frozen, it will keep them frozen, it'll buff your damage, you'll get the extra cold so that you can keep going, and if you got 50% crit chance, which I see you're building the crit path, so I'm assuming you will have it. Grim Feast with Clarity, I like it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 skills. Okay, so you can slot a couple more skills in there. So you don't need Elemental Invocation. I assume that you don't have your fourth Ascendancy yet. Okay, so getting a fourth Ascendancy will be pretty good with getting Meditator Avatar, or if you wanted to, you could even go Scatter Them to the Winds, but this just isn't good now, but I assume they'll fix it. You got, okay, so your pure energy shield, so there's no point to going Protect Me from Harm. Uh, There, you could probably just, if you have any mana issues, toss in Mana Remnants. You got Grim Feast already. Nothing seems to be in the way. Nothing's a problem. I just had to quickly go and check and confirm that it was actually 10 skills, but it seems to be 9. So you do have one skill slot remaining here, not 2. That's my bad. You got a lot of options there. You got Blink already, so you don't need Elemental Invocation at all, but you could put in something like the Mana Remnant so you don't have to do the swap outs. You could have Charge Infusion if you're keeping up your charges very well, and you could also have something like I think it's called Intimidating Presence. Well, it's not going to pop up there, but in the spirit, Overwhelming Presence. That will help you with knocking out some elemental ailment thresholds to get those freezes and shocks off, which could be very helpful, but if you don't need it, you don't need it. Just a bunch of different options that you could do. Overall, your jewels look really nice. I wouldn't change much around there. They're looking pretty good. Your weapon is honestly basically the free version, so I understand why you got it. It doesn't have the 12% increased weapon damage for strength. It doesn't have a third socket. If you could get one with the 12% weapon damage, that'll help you out quite a bit. It's like probably 30% more damage. It's actually kind of crazy how much more damage it is. It doesn't feel like it should be. It should be 20% on there, but it, with all the scaling and the crit and everything, it goes high. Your hands look decent. I mean, you could get a better one, but it's not going to change much. That's just kind of nitpicking. The staff will add a lot. You're obviously still working towards the big belt, but this one is quite nice. It's got really good resists. It could do with a little more strength. Big mana is nice. The maximum life. You are CI. So the life, doesn't really add too much. It's technically stun threshold, but it's not going to be adding too much or anything really. It's a decent chest piece. It's actually a quite nice chest piece. I don't have any complaints about that. Like, it could be better, but that's just, you know, currency. This is in a pretty good spot. I like it. Your ring, cold damage, lightning damage. You got a couple of reses and ints. Same thing, your other ring. You can quality it up more, obviously. If you get it to 20%, you'll give you another all res and more damage. It might even, if you need more res, it might be better dropping the lightning damage scaling, because the lightning is not going to be doing too much for you. It'd be best to go with the cold if you need the cold res for sure, because that cold damage will at least give you a couple of damage on it, whereas that lightning one isn't scaling much at all. And yeah, it'll hit 3 things instead of just 2. So yeah, I'd say instead of going lightning mod, go with cold if you need the res. If you really need the fire res, go with fire, obviously, but I think cold will do the most for you. And then here on the fire res ring, it's a pretty nice flat damage ring with good attributes. If you don't need the resistances anywhere, this is pretty solid. This is actually really solid. With that, 2 cold damage rolls on it with a good amount of damage, you should be popping everything. Like, you won't need that overwhelming presence. I didn't see the rings yet. This is looking pretty good actually. And then with your amulet, big increased evasion and maximum energy shield, decent attributes, and a decent chunk of lightning res. Honestly, if you're capping your res, this is pretty dang fine. Obviously some rarity would help you get some better gear eventually, but for what you got, this is solid. Your full ES, and you got a big ES boosting amulet. I like this a lot. This is quite good. Like, honestly, same thing for the helmet. Like, it could be better, but this is solid. This is really solid. Like, drop that maximum mana for another energy shield roll on it. It might be expensive eventually. Oh, hey, puppy. What you doing, Bebs? So, overall, you have really good basis for your gear. I don't have any complaints about this. This is solid. Your gems are solid. Your gear is solid. You seem to know what you're looking for. Whenever you do get the Ingenuity belt, it'll scale these pretty well. Like, all of it can just be upgraded, and these small upgrades over time will build up to a lot. But yeah, like, it's got a couple of dead rolls on here, like the low fire might be unfortunate. Rarity on the rings would be better than on the boots, because then on the boots you could focus, well, then it would boost it there. But like, yeah, I just wouldn't worry too much about it. Like, you can get really good res on your boots, you can get really good stats for an int roll if you wanted to. The life isn't helping you, just get the movement speed, evasion, energy shield would be nice, or flat energy shield if you wanted that instead. If you're scaling anything with energy shield, it's like you should be, but your evasion probably won't be doing too much with how low of those rolls are. If you're wanting to go any split base anything, would be on your chest. But yeah, this is pretty solid. It's obviously low base level, like the item level, 59, 65, and 75. Like, this helmet is good. These boots could be upgraded by just having a better base, and this chest is solid. Like, it's solid. You could upgrade it again, just like here. This helmet here, 293 energy shields with a little bit of res. Like, I don't have too much in there for way of anything, but it's here. Let's just check this here. If I were to add a weighted stats here, weighted sum for, I don't know what resistances you need right now. I'm not checking your exact character sheet because we don't have that capability yet. Lightning resistance and int. Let's just make it a weighted sum of 50 just to have some stuff pop up. Oh, Beverly, I know. Yeah, so you could get some slightly better stuff for like 5 exalt, 5 exalt, 5 exalt. It might help you out. Like, this one here is big int roll with some good cold. If that would help you, then great. But if you need that fire res, then yeah, don't worry about it too much. And that's only going to be like 50 more base energy shield, but that 50 is going to compound to like 200 base energy shield by the time all the add-ons are included. You could find something else in here. Like these are some pretty low requirements. Let's see if I can get something crazy like 350 energy shield. You can still get a 350 energy shield with some int and some cold res for pretty cheap. Like this is not asking too much here. That would give you a big boost to your health rate there, because this is only 252 unfortunately. Uh, do these have open slots? None of them really have open slots, but like this one here, it's going to be 356 when you quality it, and then you can add slots to it. The minion skill is unfortunate, but whatever. It's still a little bit better than what you got, and for dirt cheap add-ons and upgrades, like this will do work for you. And then like the chest there, like again, I don't have complaints about that, so I don't even research it. Like I got a thing pre-made on here for like, here's a split base one with 800 evasion and 300 energy shield. Like this is decent, and if you wanted to go straight energy shield, something with just energy shield, same kind of weighted base, you could get something with like 100 more ES and not losing too much probably for like 60 exalt, but you had really good resistances and you had the int on there, so this is low priority. It's just it's going to scale your defenses a lot eventually. Like all these getting like 100 more energy shield on here. These boots are the ones that should probably get changed first. They don't even have much going on for them unfortunately. So here we got the same thing. I kind of shot for the moon with these ones with 300 energy shield and at least 20 move speed to get you going. If you look even offline, there's a bunch for cheap if you're willing to wait for them to come online. But yeah, 311 energy shield on these boots with 20 movement speed, decent res, gives you some attributes, and it only has 20 movement speed, but you can slot in a socket and get another either more evasion or more energy shield or all res or whatever you need. Let's just... Oh, I hit the wrong button. This one here. I was wondering why I couldn't find the online in League. But yeah, for 2 div you can get some really good pairs, but if you're wanting to find something a little bit more price efficient here for only 250, this one's 267, so it's pretty solid with big int, lightning res. You'd be losing the socket because obviously they used it to get up to the big energy shield, but like for 50 exalt here, it even gives you some stun threshold and whatnot, so like this will be just nice to have. If you're not wanting to be that slow and you want to be, 25% move speed on this one with 275 on it. It's already corrupted unfortunately, but yeah. There's a bunch of different options in here. They're not too expensive, they're very attainable. You could probably get them in just like probably a couple hours of grinding a bit. But yeah, you got really good basis for your gear. It just needs to be upgraded, that's all. Boots first. Honestly, I don't think your rings need to be touched for a little bit, but eventually they will be. Your amulet's in a good spot. Like, probably boots and weapon first. Get a better version of this with either the 12% attack damage per 5 strength, and then keep going this path. Or if you can't get one for cheap, you could get one with 3 sockets. They usually sell pretty cheap. And you can even find one where the socket's already filled. Then, yeah, probably the helmet at the same time if you can, but it's still good. The belt there is a stretch goal, but it's just unfortunate all the prefixes on belts don't seem to help that much. Alright, so now let's go to the passive tree. Or, hold on, let's see, do you have a set 2, set 3? No, it's just the basics. Passive tree, coming down for the usual attributes with I like the rage on melee hit jewels. I used to use these as well, but pretty much everything else is useless. The stun threshold could be nice if you got a bunch of energy shield or stun, but the armor's not going to do anything for you. The bleeding chance isn't really going to do anything because it's based on physical. Right here, this one here, it's only a 3 mod unfortunately, but it's got really nice maximum energy shield and stun threshold. But this here can be upgraded quite a bit. But like, yeah, that 18% increased max energy shield is great. Damage taken recouped as life is useless. Unfortunately, this is essentially a 2-mod jewel. This is essentially a, a 1-mod jewel. This one here, it's got the maximum energy shield and mana on kill, so this is like a 2-mod jewel. It's probably your best jewel so far, because it's really good energy shield and mana on kill, but it still has a lot of room to improve. This guy, you're only showing the energy shield. Yeah, like if you upgrade your jewels for like probably 30 exalt jewels apiece, you'll massively increase what you're doing here. Again, you're not going to worry about the cold damage, just the energy shield's decent there. It's not even corrupted yet. I'd say corrupt it and roll the dice, because yeah, these aren't expensive jewels by any stretch. This crit chance is nice. You're probably going to need more of that. The mana regen is nice, but the cold damage and cold pen just aren't going to be doing nearly enough for you. And then same with the Sapphire, mana regen, maximum energy shield, and then curse duration and ignite magnitude are just not going to be it for you. I'm sorry, but your jewels all need work. I would, I would definitely try to get your 6th slot on Tempest Flare if you can. Because you only have one jewel for Rage, take off Rage Forged and put on Font of Rage. That will help you more than the Rage Forged on here, because then it'll at least let you build it up, or even just the Rage support itself on the Tempest spell. That will help quite a bit. Because yeah, unfortunately, you're just not going to be getting it from this with only one Rage on hit jewel. It doesn't charge fast enough. But yeah, that is just a gearing issue. I wouldn't suggest getting a bunch of Rage jewels. The red ones, unfortunately, do not give you enough. All the Rage jewels will really, unfortunately, just have like melee damage associated with it that can help you. The rest is kind of useless. Whereas the blue jewels have crit chance, and they have energy shield to stun threshold, crit damage, all those sorts of stats. And the green ones have like movement speed, crit chance with attacks, crit damage with attacks. They got lightning damage. Like there's a bunch of good stats on the green and blue jewels. So just don't worry about the red ones. Just go for the green and blue. You got a really nice controlled metamorphosis. This one is crazy at -5 all res, so good job there. I hope you didn't spend too much for it. But yeah, that is very nice. Come down here, stats, everything. You're going for eternal use, so your flasks apply to your energy shield. This is only good if you have low energy shield, and you went full energy shield, so this could be actually a negative. Like, it could help you in a pinch, but then when you lose your recharge normally, I'm not too sure how I feel about that. That's kind of a user preference thing, but it's definitely not my cup of tea. If you have, which you do, you have this node right here, the Sunder My Enemies. So as long as you're critting more than half the time, you really won't need these 3 nodes here. They're really good nodes if you don't have Sunder My Enemies, but because you do, I don't think it's necessary at all. I'd say if you want to keep those nodes, swap over to Avatar, or yeah, probably Avatar, so that it gives you the more build up to help you hit with it more often. But I'm thinking, because you're doing almost entirely lightning damage, you're probably not freezing too much. The freezing that you'd be getting off is with Herald of Thunder against mobs. You don't need to worry about this, they're already going to pop. Mobs don't matter. And you're not going to be freezing the boss quite fast enough. Maybe with a little bit better gear you will be, but right now I am not sold on this for what your setup is currently. If I saw something different with your damage numbers, then maybe, but I don't think this is it for you. I think these 3 would be better spent elsewhere. Also, I like that I'm able to edit this now. I don't know why I couldn't do that last video, but it's pretty good. All up here is really nice. Yeah. I don't see much wrong with your passive tree either. You got a lot going on good. It's just kind of the jewels and your gear. These 3 could be better spent elsewhere. Let's see what you got here. These 3 could drop and just go straight over here for the extra crit chance, the damage. Like, this is quite a bit of crit chance and damage. It's nice utility. If you really don't want this, then you could probably even come, if you wanted the utility for power charges, you could grab that if you dropped even one more node. It's all coming together really nicely though. Like you have good focus on the right stats, the right skills. Your thing's a attribute stacker, so you're going for the attributes on both ends. You didn't really make any mistakes anywhere. Uh, your energy shield focus, and you went with the energy shield nodes and energy shield nodes. Like this is looking really good. I don't think you did anything wrong at all. The only thing is just like I'm not really sold on an Eternal Youth, and I think these three could be better spent elsewhere if you have enough crit to use Center My Enemies. Now, overall, I think you did a really good job. This is solid. It's just a gearing issue. A lot of the stuff that you need is going to be on the cheap. Uh, yeah, I don't think you have too much wrong anywhere. Like, the gems could be a little bit better, but I mean, I like what you got going on. Honestly, this is solid. You did a good job.